thank you so much for joining us for the second session of the Reading Agency's Adult Publisher Roadshow today. We hope your to be read pile is overflowing already with many new additions, and that you've enjoyed hearing from all of our publisher partners and authors so far. To those of you you're joining, this is your first one. My name is Kimberly Sheehan, and I am the campaign manager at the Reading Agency, or a campaign manager, I should say. I'm not just the only one. The Reading Agency is a UK charity with a mission to empower everyone to read. Evidence shows that reading improves health and well-being, life chances, and social connections. The Reading Agency champions access to the proven power of reading by providing activities for all ages. Working in public libraries, prisons, hospitals, colleges, and other community settings, we reach over 2 million people a year. But with a UK population of over 67 million, that's not nearly enough. We want to get to more people fired up about reading because everything changes when you read. Through my work with publishers, we hope to help this by bringing libraries all kinds of year-round opportunities for you to use and engage your readers with lots and lots of different types of books. And that is more encapsulated in this than before. So in this session, we are very excited to be joined by 5 publishers who will be highlighting their books and opportunities that they would love you to engage with in the year ahead. There are videos included which can occasionally lag, but we will be recording this and sharing the recording along with each of the publisher slides and catalogues with you by latest Monday. So if there are issues with some of the videos, or you might miss a book that someone's talked about, please don't worry, because you'll receive this all later. Please use the chat box throughout to talk to each other. Let us know your favourite book that you've read so far this year, so that we can see what everyone has been enjoying. Just make sure to have it set with share with everyone, because sometimes it can be to share with hosts and panelists. Our publishers will be delighted to answer any questions you may have in the Q&A part of the session. So please do share these using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen as we go along. And hopefully if you joined last time, you see we'll get through as many as we can. And then after this, we will be joined by my amazing colleague, Kelly Baker, who will be sharing more about adult reading opportunities through her programme. So with further ado, I am now going to share my screen and hand over to... So bear with me. This one right here. Tanuja and Vicky from HarperCollins.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Kimberly, for the introduction. We're Tanuja and Vicky. We are representing HarperCollins today, and we're going to take you through some of the amazing titles that we have coming out this year and coming out next year as well. So let me just start my timer because we nearly ran over yesterday. I'm going to start talking to you all about Agatha Christie. We have some... Next slide, please, Kimberly.
There you go, sorry.
Thank you. So we have some amazing releases out this side of Christmas. So our first is the Ultimate Murder Mystery Edition, which has in an envelope at the back the name of the killer, so the reader has to work that out, or they can spoil it for themselves and pick that out for them. We also have this amazing graphic novel and with gorgeous illustrations, and Sophie Hannah is back with the new Hercule Poirot murder mystery in paperback, which is a really lovely stocking filler. So those are our offerings pre-Christmas. And then coming in spring 2025, the next slide, please. We have these amazing, gorgeous hardback reissues. So we've got Cat Among the Pigeons, which is set in an English school where Poirot is brought in to uncover the cat before the most feline of killer strikes again. And then we have Dumb Witness, where our detective may have finally met his match with Bob the dog. This is perfect for dog-loving fans. Kimberly, this might be one for your dogs in the background. And when a wealthy spinster trips on the stairs, everyone blames the dog, but there is something more foul at play. These are both being reissued from March 2025, so they'll be out soon. And then we just wanted to flag on the next slides some library opportunities. So at the moment, we have this Poirot standee that you can request. And we also have loads of resources, quizzes, and the next Christie Read-Along Challenge for 2025 is going to be announced really soon. So keep your eye on the Agatha Christie website for more. And if you're interested in receiving any resources or materials for you to promote any of the reissues or any of the books, let us know, and we can do that at the end of every month. And over to Tanuja for our next one.
I don't know if you're unmuted, Tanuja.
You're muted now. Unmute yourself. Oh, we can't seem to hear you.
Okay,
Sorry.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry,
Perfect.
valuable seconds wasted there. I was on mute speaking about one of our favorite authors, Zilly Court. She's the nation's favorite saga author with over 5 million copies sold in the UK. The Snow Angel marks Zilly's 50th book and the culmination of years of writing unforgettable stories. To celebrate this wonderful achievement and spotlight Zilly's upcoming book, Poppy's Choice, we're offering festive display packs, including posters, bookmarks, and bunting. Poppy's Choice is a perfect escapist romantic historical fiction novel and will publish on 30th January next year.
Great, thanks, Tanuja. And now we are on to one more chapter, The Mysterious Bakery, which is, I think, the next slide. The next one. There we go. Thank you. So this is one more chapters offering for 2025. They published the incredible The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods 18 months ago, and she has now sold over 1.7 million books globally, which is incredible. This new book, The Mysterious Bakery on Rue de Paris, is coming out in March 2025, and it follows Edie, who lives on the west coast of Ireland, and she's dreaming of being somewhere else alongside dreaming of underfloor heating, and she dreams up this bakery in Paris, and soon she realizes that that is where her heart is telling her where she should be. This takes the magical flair of The Lost Bookshop and The Story Collector and transports you to Paris, and has that everyday magic that Evie really brings in with her books. Themes within this book are folklore, escapism, grief and loss, and the power of storytelling and books, just like we had with The Lost Bookshop. And this one is coming out in March. So any opportunities we will be passing on to one more chapter, and we're really excited about this one.
Next up is Lula Dean's Little Library of Banned Books by HQ. This is Kristen Miller's second book after her critically acclaimed female revenge thriller, The Chain. With Lula Dean's Little Library of Banned Books, she tells the story of a fictional town in Georgia called Troy, where local woman Lula Dean has succeeded in a campaign to ban a selection of books from libraries, schools, and public spaces, and it is down to a group of locals to fight back. This is a very serious topic, and she's told us with so much humor and heart and a great cast of characters that demonstrate through their individual stories the importance of literature and what is at stake when censorship takes hold. It's perfect for book club discussions. HQ will be making copies available on the reading agency notice board, so please keep an eye out for those, and it's publishing on 27th of March next year. Back to you, Vicky.
Thanks, Tanuja. We now have For the States offering for April 2025, All the Other Mothers Hate Me by Sarah Harmon. This is an incredible, wickedly funny debut. It's about bad men, single motherhood, questionable decisions, and heroic comebacks. It follows Florence Grimes, who's a 31-year-old party girl living in London. She always takes the easy way out, and after her girl-bound career, is single, broke, and unfulfilled, and the only person that keeps her afloat is her son, Dylan. But then Alfie, who is the 10-year-old heir to a frozen food empire and Dylan's arch nemesis at school, mysteriously vanishes on a school trip, and Dylan becomes the prime suspect. So Florence needs to find Alfie and clear her son's name. The only problem is she has no detective skills, none of the other mums at school like her, and she's just found Alfie's backpack hidden under her son's bed. This is perfect for fans of Bella Mackie's How to Kill Your Family, What a Way to Go. Monica Hyde is really good, actually, and anything by Leanne Moriarty. So yeah, really excited about this one.
And last but not the least is The Forgotten Book Club by Avon. The Forgotten Book Club is the newest publication from Kate Story, author of The Memory Library, which has sold over 100,000 copies worldwide. In this book, she continues to explore her love and power of books to form meaningful connections. It follows the story of a widow named Grace who joins her late husband's book group. She's surprised to find out that it is a mere silent hour of reading and decides to breathe new life into the reading group. She realizes between these pages is where she might just belong. It is a heartwarming and emotional read, perfect for fans of Sally Page and Evie Woods. Kate lives, she's originally from Yorkshire, but she lives in a London suburb with a husband and 2 teenage daughters. And she has written 4 novels previously, and this is a second in the book club space. If you have any requests for these books, please do pass along. Thank you.
Thank you both so much. And please don't worry about the technology issues. I've been having them as well. Thank you, Oso, but such a range. And handing over now to Jo from Head of Zeus.
Hi everyone, I'm delighted to be back again to talk about 4 exciting books from Head of Zeus publishing in 2025. I will take each of those in publication order, just to be fair. Oh, Kimberly, could you just flick on a slide for me, please? On screen, you can see some of the highlights from 2024, including those I chatted about this time last year, as well as some exciting treats to come. If you spot anything there of interest, do ask me questions later. But each of the 4 books today is introduced by its author. Who knows better than them what to say about them at this stage? We're also delighted to offer competition copies for a couple of them and NetGalley links where we can, where possible. And as I said, happy to answer questions later today or at any point, so please don't hesitate to get in touch. Right, kicking off with Mandy Rowbotham, who I'm sure you know from her books with HarperCollins, and Mrs. Spy, which is publishing in May 2025.
Hello, I'm Mandy, or MJ Rowbotham, and I'm the writer of Mrs. Spy. This is a novel that's introducing some new characters in Maggie Flynn and her inimitable sidekick in Frank Tanner. As you can see, I really love a spy book, and I also really love writing about the 1960s, and so I've combined these 2 passions in Mrs. Spy. If you think of the swinging 60s London, if you think of the Beatles and the Stones, the vibrancy of Carnaby Street, add to that the murky underbelly of espionage and dark secrets, and you have the measure of Maggie's world. She's a single parent to a teenager. She's the daughter of a, let's say, unorthodox mother, and she's a widow, all at the age of 45. Oh, and she's a spy, but one that's caught up in a spider's web of intrigue. Who is at the centre of this mesh, and will she get caught fatally before she can escape? You can find out how Maggie and Frank attempt to escape this spider's web in the pages of Mrs. Spy. Happy reading.
Great. And then next we have Jane Johnson and her new Cornish novel, Secrets of the Bees.
Hi, I'm Jane Johnson, the author of The Seagate and The White Hare, and this is my new Cornish novel, Secrets of the Bees. And as you can see just behind me here, there is a beehive. It's quite busy at the moment, bees coming in and out, buzzing all around me. Ezra Kerno was born in his cottage 80 years ago, just like his father and his grandfather before him, and they love where they live. And he looks after the land, he looks after the bees, he has a very bad-tempered old cat called Bucker, and he has a jackdaw called Merlin. Everything in his life gets turned upside down when the estate to which the cottage is attached is sold, and the newcomers see his cottage as an opportunity, and they think at 80 that Ezra might quite like to move into a retirement home. Well, Ezra's having none of that. And he has many tricks up his sleeve, and so does Cornwall, because Cornwall, it casts its spell over everybody who comes to it. This is a quirky novel, contemporary, but with a very important and quite serious message at its heart about how we need to keep the identity and the history of Cornwall, and I am Cornish, so I feel this quite deeply, but we also have to move with the times to a certain extent, and the marriage between those 2 contradictory aspects is quite a hard thing to bring together without friction. But I think this book has a very powerful message at its heart, but it's also quite fun, and I really hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Hi.
Right, and then brilliantly, I can see lots of you already getting very excited about it in the chat. Next, we have the new book from Elodie Harper, a standalone novel, Boudicca's Daughter, which we will publish at the end of August 2025. This doesn't have a cover yet, but we're showing off the cover mid-January, so please keep your eye out for that as a key moment of the campaign. It'll be one of our biggest books of the year.
Hello, I'm Elodie Harper, author of the
there
Wolf
she
Den
is.
trilogy, and I'd like to talk to you about my new book, Boudicca's Daughter. The Iceni warrior queen from Britain, Boudicca, who almost succeeded in driving the Romans out of her country, is a very famous historical figure, but not many people are as aware of the fact that she had 2 daughters. We don't know very much about them. We know that violence against her 2 daughters by Rome is what prompted Boudicca to rebel in the first place, but that's pretty much it. We don't even have their names. So I thought that was a really interesting point for a retelling. I was just fascinated to think about what might have happened to her daughters. So I've named them. There's Belenia and Selina. I focus on Selina, the oldest daughter, and we don't just see her participation in the rebellion, Boudicca's meteoric rise, the sort of famous events like the sack of Colchester, of London, Boudicca's eventual defeat. We also look at the aftermath. I wanted to tell that part of Selina's story, what it might have felt like, what legacy it would be to be Boudicca's daughter in a Roman world. So the action moves from the Iceni heartlands of Britain to Nero's imperial court in Rome, and we follow Selina's adventure story through those places. We meet some familiar characters. We meet Britannica from the Wolf Den trilogy in her Iceni environment rather than in Pompeii. We also see quite a lot of Pliny, who's a different version from the one you might recognize through Amara's eyes. Ultimately, this is a story of passion, obsession, vengeance, love, and one woman's quest to find her place in an incredibly violent and often hostile world, but one where, as somebody who was brought up to be a warrior, she had a unique understanding of what it meant to be a woman, what it meant to be British, and what it meant to be Roman at that time. I've really enjoyed working on it, and I hope you love it.
Brilliant. And then last but by no means least, and very appropriately for this time of year, we have a Christmassy book from Diamond Dagger winning Martin Edwards, Miss Winter in the Library with a Knife, which we will publish in September next year. We do have early proofs of this one, which you've got a chance to win, and we've got an extract up on NetGalley if you feel like a little Christmassy preview now. But for now, over to Martin.
Hello, I'm Martin Edwards. I'm the consultant to the British Library's Crime Classics, the president of the Detection Club, and recipient of the Dagger in the Library. I've got a lifelong love of mysteries and puzzles, and these come together in my new novel, Miss Winter in the Library with a Knife. In this story, 6 people are invited to spend Christmas in a remote village. They're there to solve a mystery game. If they do so, they have the chance of winning a very special prize, the chance to turn their lives around forever. But someone in the village is playing a murderous game of their own. If you like puzzles, if you like solving mysteries, there are plenty in this book. And there are clues scattered throughout the story. Check the clue finder at the back and see how many you spot, or else just read on and enjoy the story on its own merits. I promise you, it's got more twists and turns than a labyrinth full of serpents.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone. I hope there was something there that's caught your eye. As I say, do ask me any questions later.
Thank you so much, Jo. And now I'm going to hand over to Corinne and Henna from the Orion Group.
Hey everyone, my name is Corinne. I'll be presenting with Henna today, and yeah, we've got a lot of titles to whiz through, so I'm just going to go straight into it, starting off with our 2025 debut launches, and over to you, Henna.
Thank you. We could just go to the next slide, Kimberly. Thank you.
So, fundamentally, is a bitingly original, wildly funny, and razor-sharp exploration of love, family, religion, radicalism, and the decisions we make in pursuit of connection and belonging. It follows academic Nadia's attempts to set up a program to rehabilitate ISIS brides. Fundamentally, is delivered by one of the most fearless and talented new voices in contemporary fiction, and we hope it's fundamentally the funniest new voice of 2025. Next slide, please.
Thank you. So next up, we have The Names, which is our super lead for 2025 and one that we are extremely excited about. And The Names is it's a story about three names, three versions of a life, and infinite possibilities that a single decision can spark. It is the story of one family and how love endures no matter what fate has in store. And this one is a instant word of mouth sensation, and definitely keep an eye out.
The Grapevine has already won the Stylist Prize for Feminist Fiction. This is a gripping and atmospheric debut novel about a mysterious murder that exposes the secrets behind closed doors in 1970s suburban Australia. It explores prejudice and suspicion, the hidden lives of women, and how the ties that bind a community can also threaten to break it. Thanks. Next slide.
Thank you. And now we've got Death of the Author by multi-award-winning author Nydia Okorafor, and she presents a sweeping story about a disabled Nigerian American who writes a science fiction novel that becomes a global phenomenon, but at a price. It's a tale about family, culture, identity. This blends the tenderness of tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow with the ambition of how we go in the dark. And we've also got proofs available. Thank you.
When the Fireflies Dance is an incredible book inspired by a true story. It's provocative, conversation-starting book club reading at its finest. This is the extraordinary story of 20-year-old Lalu and his fight for survival in the cruelest of worlds and circumstances, in the brickyards outside of Lahore. Perfect for fans of Khaled Hosseini and Delia Owens.
Thanks, Hannah. So next up, we've got our brand authors, and first on a list is Joanne Harris, who I'm sure you already know and love. Joanne Harris sensationally returns to the world of chocolat with the long-awaited and utterly irresistible story of Vianne Rocher. This one's perfect for fans of Maggie O'Farrell and Sarah Winman, and this story begins 6 years before she opens her scandalous chocolaterie in the small French village of Lansquenet. Thank you.
Next up, we're going to escape to Provence with the stunningly feel-good and romantic news story from the Sunday Times best-selling author and fan favourite Veronica Henry. This is set in a beautiful chateau and is a perfect holiday read. Delicious French cooking and a blossoming love affair and a very handsome neighbour. This is perfect for fans of Lucy Diamond and Jill Mansell. Just next slide, please. Another great summer read is Somewhere Only We Know by Kathy Bramley, which doesn't have a cover finalised yet, but we're very much nearly there. This is a brand new joyful bestseller from the mega brand in the making hero Orion, Kathy Bramley. When Magnolia Jones suffers an unimaginable loss, her heart breaks into pieces, but the discovery of her daughter's notebook prompts her to book a flight and set off on an adventure. Again, this is a perfect summer getaway read next year that will leave you itching to explore the world.
Thank you. And so next up, we've got The Women's Orchestra of Auschwitz. It is the first book on the Auschwitz Women's Orchestra by the best-selling historian of 20th century women's lives. And it asks questions like, what role could music play in a death camp? What was the effect on those women who owed their survival to their participation in a Nazi propaganda project? And how did it feel to be forced to provide solace to the perpetrators of a genocide that claimed the lives of their family and friends? In this book, award-winning historian Anne Seba traces these tangled questions of deep moral complexity with sensitivity and care, and it comes out in March next year. And next slide, please. So Brandon Sanderson, he needs no introduction. This is the long-awaited 5th book in the epic Stormlight Archive series. And just to give you a little rundown about it, Dallina Collin has challenged the evil god Odium to a contest of champions, and the Knights Radiant and the nations of Rashar have a mere 10 days to prepare for the worst. The fate of the entire world and the cosmere at large hangs in the balance. And for this one, we've got samplers available, so do shout if you need.
Next up is the Reverend Richard Coles, who again needs no introduction. You'll have seen him on your screens and most recently in The Jungle, where he has been partaking in the Bushchucker trials. But of course, he still has time to add to the much-loved Canon Clement mystery series, with the next instalment coming in June 2025, A Death on Location. You can expect the return of familiar faces, village gossip, and of course, a ghastly murder.
Thanks, Hannah. Okay, so next up we have our key paperbacks that we'd really just love to bring to your attention. And first on the list is Fellowship of Puzzle Makers, which I'm sure you might have seen earlier this year as it was our big brand title. And yeah, Clayton Stumper might be 26 years old, but he dresses like your grandpa and drinks sherry like your aunt. Abandoned at birth on the steps of Fellowship of Puzzle Makers, he was raised by a group of eccentric enigmatologists and now finds himself among the last survivors of a fading institution. It's gloriously uplifting, nostalgic, and wonderfully puzzling. If you missed the hardback for this, then definitely you don't want to miss the paperback.
Back to Reverend Richard Coles. Whilst you're waiting for that fourth instalment I just touched on, don't miss the third novel in the Canon Clement mystery series, which is out in paperback early next year. There is a death at the monastery, and the Canon Clement and sorry, that is such a tongue twister. And Canon Clement thinks it might be murder. As dark secrets unfold, can he solve the mystery at the monastery? Thank you.
Thank you. So next up, we have someone who I'm sure you've seen on your screens already. It's the poignant debut novel from much-loved broadcaster Lorraine Kelly. And The Island Swimmer revolves around lonely Evie and the friendship she finds with a group of cold water swimmers on Orkney. And this book was inspired by her passion for the Orkney Islands and its people. And it's a captivating debut novel about the importance of being true to yourself. Thank you. Next slide.
And last up, we have Shadows in the Moonlight, which is the first book in the sensational new series from #1 best-selling author Sante Montefiore. When Pixie Tate is summoned to the wild Cornish coast to unravel a curious mystery at the stately St. Sidwell Manor, she knows that something quite extraordinary must be hiding in its shadows. As she loses herself in the past, secrets are revealed, love affairs exposed, and ultimately, Pixie will be forced to make a devastating choice that will change their life forever. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for listening. That was just a whistle-stop tour of all the exciting titles we have coming up, plus the paperbacks that we'd love to keep on your radar for next year. If you have any further questions, proof requests, or any POS requests, please do ask via the form and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you both so much. I'm now just going to change my screen to start the next presentation for everyone. Here we go. And then handing over to Nariksha and Liz.
Morning, everyone. Liz and I are so excited to be here to talk about some of our key titles next year from Penguin Press. So the first one is a very exciting project that is happening in April next year. We're publishing 90 short books to celebrate 90 years of Penguin. So the Penguin Archive follows in the great tradition of some of our anniversary publishing. You might remember the Lispback Classics and most recently the Penguin Moderns, which have been collected by readers worldwide. So for this series, our classics editors have gone digging in our amazingly rich archives. The series takes us through 9 decades of Penguin, marking the moment our authors were first published by Penguin. So from Poe and Austen in the 1930s to the 21st century when Mary Gaitskell and Toby Ditlevson joined the list. I think if you go forward a few slides, you can see the kind of this amazing cover design and beautiful production value that the A format series will have, which really traces that design heritage of Penguin. So Jim Stoddart, our art director, says that this is an extensive fever dream of book covers old and new, using typography as the medium to evoke different Penguin eras. We've reprised the creativity of many legendary designers involved with creating Penguin's visual identity. So the Penguin Archive series encompasses an eclectic range of languages, genres, including Icelandic sagas, ghost stories, satirical essays, ancient philosophy, science fiction. So there truly is something for everyone. We'll have a major campaign next year to tie into Penguin's 90th. But we'll have lots of kind of POS for displays. We're so excited to bring this to readers next year. Wow.
Hi everyone. Echo, that was bad. Hi, I'm so thrilled that we have a new book from Sean Fay, whose debut, The Transgender Issue, was a critically acclaimed bestseller. That book took something that, could be seen as quite niche, trans liberation, trans representation, and showed it to be a universal issue that we all need to think about. And here she takes something we all know to be truly universal, love, and applies her unique outsider perspective as someone who grew up queer, as someone who is a trans woman, as someone who's been exiled from the normative ideals of love, in order to show us that the state of love and lovelessness in our modern capitalist world, in order to show us more about the state of love and lovelessness in our modern capitalist world, sorry, I read that wrong. Why is it that so many of us, regardless of identity, feel excluded or disappointed in love? And she does this through this incredible blend of memoir, of theory, of pop culture. When you read it, you can tell she's just as comfortable talking about Beyonce or Lana Del Rey as she is about Marx and Engels. And she's also got a really suitably varied and gigantic list of admirers. I put some of the quotes there, but she's got fans from Maggie Nelson to Joe Lycett, from Judith Butler to Amelia de Moldenberg. It's a really, really funny book. It's incredibly smart. Or as Maggie Nelson puts it, it's a masterpiece. We have lots of proofs available, and we can't wait for you all to fall in love with it this February.
So in March, we'll be publishing Nova Scotia House, the debut novel from Charlie Porter, the author of the cult nonfiction books What Artists Wear and Bring No Clothes. So this book is told through the eyes of Johnny, a gay man in the present day who looks back on the defining relationship of his life. We see him meet, fall in love with, and lose Jerry, an older artist. The novel moves back and forth across time through memory. As we relive Johnny's love story, we rediscover a generation of queer artists and radicals lost to history due to the AIDS crisis, but whose creativity, brilliance, and subversion is there for us to reconnect with. It's an incredibly moving story. It's reminiscent of themes in books like A Single Man and Just Kids, and it's an exciting new book into the growth of queer literary fiction readership. So we've got lots of big things planned in terms of the campaign. There'll be major media placement, and this really will be one of the key debuts of 2025. And we'll have lots of activity around Pride Month. So it's one to watch and one to fall in love with.
Hello again. We published The Trading Game in hardback as a sensational debut, cinematic in quality and blockbuster in ambition. And for those who don't know about the book, The Trading Game tells the story of how Gary Stevenson went from being a poor working class kid to one of Citibank's most profitable traders, earning trillions a day, and why, after all of that, he was desperate to quit. And Gary gives readers a front row seat to the totally insane, unbelievably funny, and often quite sad world of trading. We had an incredible plethora of early endorsements for the hardback publication, some of which you can see here on the slide, from Rory Stewart to Irvin Welsh, who called it the Wolf of Wall Street with a moral compass. On publication, it was an instant #1 Sunday Times bestseller, and Gary appeared all over the media, from Sunday Times to Lad Bible. And we're planning another major campaign for the paperback, including a suite of display material, which we'd love to offer out to libraries. So please do reach out to us if that's of interest. And again, we can answer questions about that later. This is Gary's story, and it's an outrageous white-knuckle journey from Ilford, the dark heart of the intoxicating world of banking. And I agree with your husband, Anna. I think it's unputdownable, and everyone will enjoy reading it.
Tokyo, 1960. As the first rays of morning light hit the rails at Kamata Station, a man's body is found on the tracks. Blood-stained and unrecognisable. No suspect, no evidence, no witnesses. The detectives quickly reach a dead end. But before long, a series of strange coincidences reopen the unsolved case, and Inspector Imanishi investigates. So described as the Japanese Agatha Christie, Matsumoto's detective novels are a phenomenon in Japan, where he's a household name. Inspector Imanishi Investigates is one of his best-loved titles, with multiple film and TV adaptations to Japan, and this title follows on from the hugely successful and popular Tokyo Express, which readers really love. So we're so excited to bring this newly translated mystery to readers. We have lots of POS on offer for library displays. We can supply reading group questions, and we also have lots of copies to give away for librarians. So this is Nothing Grows by Moonlight. In the blue dusk of a spring evening, a man is drawn to a lonely, beautiful stranger across the station platform. She follows him home, and over one heady night of wine and cigarettes recounts to him the devastating story of her life. First published in 1947, Nothing Grows by Moonlight tells the haunting tale of one woman's soul-shattering love affair. When an obsessive passion for her high school teacher consumes a small-town 17-year-old, her life spirals out of control, giving way to pregnancy, poverty, and alienation. She fights for her autonomy over her life, her mind, and her body. So this is a truly captivating, visceral novel. It's a cult feminist classic of Scandinavian literature, perfect for fans of Annie Ernaux, Toby Ditlevson, Mary Gateskill, and we have lots of proofs available. So please do request. Thank you.
Thank you both so much. Lots of amazing titles there as well. And now I'm going to hand over to Rachel and Heather from Yale University Press.
Hi everyone, it's lovely to be here to present our spring titles to you all. Next slide, please. So first up, I'd like to draw your attention to the 20th anniversary of our well-loved Little Histories series, which began with the English language edition of E.H. Gombrich's A Little History of the World in 2005. Since that first book, we've published 12 further titles, which you see on screen here, and we're about to publish the 14th. Little Histories have sold over 1 million copies across all editions and continue to be extremely popular. To celebrate 20 years, the paperbacks now have a colourful new look, keeping the same price point of $10.99. We'll be running a library display campaign with some lovely assets available in the spring. More details on that to come. Next slide, please. So what I didn't know, but you may do, is that maths is the most popular subject at A-level in the UK. However, boys taking the subject outnumber girls by a long way. In this brand new little history, Snezana Lawrence traces the fascinating history of mathematics, from the Egyptians and Babylonians to Renaissance masters and Enigma codebreakers. So Snezana is a brilliant role model for young adult readers studying the subject, as you can see from the points on the slide. She lives in Cambridge, and we're hoping to be able to offer author talks to libraries in Cambridge and the surrounding area. Next slide, please.
So Mission Europe by Kate Vigers. Mission Europe is the follow-up to Kate's best-selling 2021 book, Mission France. It's the remarkable history of the woman who worked for Special Operations Executive, also known as SOE, across occupied Europe. In the wake of the Nazi invasion of Europe, SOE recruited women to work as secret agents and saboteurs. These individuals bolstered resistance from within occupied countries. Kate recounts stories of trial and error, escape, and even execution. The book is published in May 2025, ahead of the 80th anniversary of VE Day, and display materials will be available to libraries for a spring campaign, and there will also be an advanced copy giveaway. Kate is based in Worcester, UK, for any libraries in the area that may be interested in events as well. Next slide, please.
So we're thrilled to have Marlena Doubt on our spring list. The first and last king of Haiti is the extraordinary story of Haiti's only king, Henry Christophe, a key figure in the world's only successful slave revolution. Born in 1767 to an enslaved mother in Grenada, Christophe first fought to overthrow the British in North America before joining the Black freedom fighters of Saint-Domingue, as Haiti was then called, in their quest to end slavery. In this remarkable account, Doubt shows the incredible twists and turns that led Christophe to go from slave to revolutionary and ultimately to become king. This book is for anyone who enjoyed Sudhir Hazare-Singh's Black Spartacus about the life of Toussaint Louverture, and we hope that you'll think of it in your plans for Black History Month. Next slide, please. This is another of our books which you may like to consider in light of the 80th anniversary of VE Day next May, as well as Local and Community History Month. It tells the moving story of British and German war dead buried on enemy soil in the 2 World Wars. Bodies of enemy soldiers lay in cemeteries and churchyards in most towns and villages throughout Britain until the 1960s, their graves cared for by local communities. But this picture of British and German war graves in shared cemetery spaces has largely vanished from local memory. Following a mass exhumation of the enemy dead in the 1960s, German war dead were either moved to Cannock Chase German Military Cemetery in Staffordshire or back to Germany. The book suggests that today's insular public memory of the World Wars was only made possible by clearing away signs of the enemy, allowing people to tell themselves much simpler narratives of the recent past as a result. So Tim Grady is Professor of Modern History at the University of Chester and has previously been shortlisted for the Wolfson History Prize and Cundall Prize. He lives in the Wirral, and I hope we will be able to offer talks to local libraries.
Next. Beastly Britain by Karen R. Jones. Beastly Britain is the remarkable history of Britain and its animals, told through 10 iconic species. From foxes to newts, ghostly hounds to even the Loch Ness Monster, Karen Jones reveals the place of animals in British cultural identity and sheds a new light on the most iconic moments in British history, from the Black Death to World War II. This book is super accessible with thematic chapters and is complemented by 41 original rich illustrations, and display materials will be available to libraries for a summer campaign for this one. It does say May 2025 on the slide, but that date has now been moved to June 2025. Next slide, please. So, Josephine Baker's Secret War by Hannah Diamonds. Before the Second World War, Josephine Baker was one of the most famous performers in the world, making her name dancing on the Parisian stage. But when war broke out, she decided not to return to America where she was born, and instead turned spy for the French Secret Services. Baker was a woman of color operating in a white, male-dominated environment. This is the groundbreaking full story of her wartime and intelligence work in France and North Africa. Same as Kate Viger's and Grady's Burying the Enemy, this book will be published ahead of VE Day. And there will also be a bound-proof giveaway of this one too. Next slide, please.
So last up, we have Cryptic. This is a fantastic history book for anyone fascinated by mysterious manuscripts. Cryptic tells the absorbing history of Europe's 10 most cryptic writings from the medieval and Elizabethan periods. Along the way, Gary Shaw helps us to discover how the pioneers of science kept their secrets. We encounter demon magic and secret societies, and we delve into the intricate symbolism of alchemists searching for the philosopher's stone. Gary, who some of you may remember from his previous book for Yale on Tutankhamun, is a journalist and author with a background in Egyptology. We hope to be doing a giveaway of advanced copies for this one nearer the time. So that's it from us. Do get in touch with any requests or questions. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you both so much. We've done lots and lots of massive spreads of time there, so it's always fantastic to hear from you on what you're publishing. Can all of the publishers please put their cameras back on and unmute yourselves, because we are now going to do the Q&A part. So let me find here. So we've got a question. Have you got any authors who are particularly looking to do any library events? Obviously you might not know off the top of your head, but I think it might be great just to flag any that you know particularly good at events, maybe for libraries to know. And also to say, as a reminder to librarians, to use the request form in your delegate pack if you've got specific requests as well. Heather and Rachel, I'll start with you. Have you got any authors in particular who you know are great at library events?
I think pretty much all of the authors that we've presented, aside from Marlena Doubt, who's in the US, and Gary Shaw, who's in France, would potentially be available. We'd be looking for opportunities near to where those authors live, really. That's sort of the only, I think, aspect that libraries would perhaps want to consider, but otherwise, absolutely.
That's great, thank you. And I think it's quite useful for librarians to know what type of things you want them to say when they're requesting as well. So it's great to know about the location, obviously. And publishers, when I'm coming around, if there's anything else you'd like to hear from the librarians, please do put that in there. Liz and Narichna, I don't know if you both want to go together.
Hi. I'll echo again. Hello. Yeah, I think similarly, all the authors that we spoke about, apart from obviously the classics authors, because they're not alive, would be really happy to do library events. I didn't necessarily think about this. They are actually all based in London, the ones that we presented, but they will all be doing big sort of book shop tours, so we can link in different libraries around that if you guys have an interesting idea for events. It would be good to hear, location, also the size of like how many people you'd want to bring and what kind of format would be good for you, whether you need someone to do like an in-person event or anything like that would be really helpful. And if you can send us any requests, we can forward it to the right publicist.
Fantastic, thank you. We'll go then to Vicky and Tanuja together.
Hi, I think Liz just covered everything that we'd need basically. Yeah, knowing where they are, kind of the format and what works well in that area with the library, so we can kind of talk to our publicity teams and see where they're at, is all we need.
Great, and then I'll go to Hannah and Corinne.
Hiya. So I know that Samuel Burr and Richard Coles would be really good for library events. They're based in the UK. A lot of our authors on the list here are kind of like based all over. But again, if you just sort of like put it in the request form or just let us know, we can speak to the relevant publicity teams and get back to you.
Fantastic, thank you. And finally to you, Jo.
Yeah, all 4 of the authors who did the videos are UK based, but they're all super busy, as I think Liz brilliantly said, or Heather. Local is probably better. A lot of ours are very West Country based. I now realise as Martin, that certainly applies to Martin, Mandy and Jane. Elodie is based in London, but they are all super busy. So I would say just put your requests in with what you're thinking of and the number of people you think you could get there, and we'll treat each of them on a case basis with our publicity team.
Brilliant, thank you. I can see that Mark Nangle has put about Barnet libraries in the Q&A. Mark, if you just put that in your request form, that would be brilliant for the librarians to see, because I'm sure the publishers see, because I'm sure that's how they'll get back to you about that. Next question we have on here is, what do you like about working with libraries? So that's a nice question. So now I'm going to go the opposite way. So I'm going to come to you first, Jo. What do you like about working with libraries?
I think it's the kind of enthusiasm, and I love it because it's a kind of, it sounds really weird and I don't quite know how to articulate. It's a different sort of enthusiasm to bookshops because it's very much about getting people to read, not to buy. So it's a kind of slightly different conversation. It's not about sales, it's about the love of the book and the love of the story and the love of reading. So I think it's that amazing engagement, for me at least.
That's lovely to hear, thank you. I'm going to go, all of you can speak in this one. So Corinne, I'll go to you next.
For me, I think libraries are simply our biggest supporters. I think, when we first start reading, like my kind of like early memories of reading is like going to the library and like, renting up books there. So I think, libraries are really great for that. And we're really grateful for them. And I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
I think I echo that. Libraries were a huge part of where I read books growing up, and also I think for our culture, like different cultures specifically, you know, you can't always afford like loads of books, so like going to libraries is like a great community support. So
Yeah.
Nisha?
Yeah, I just I just feel like libraries are such big champions of our books, and they just make reading so much accessible to people who otherwise might not ever get to see um, or read these books. So they're just a great way to reach out to more people with so much enthusiasm and passion. We really appreciate that.
Thank you. Nirishna?
Yeah, I mean, as a marketer, having worked with library for quite a long time now, actually, I just love the kind of creativity they bring, especially kind of working with you through the reading agency. It's just lovely to see all the kind of amazing displays and like all the care that they put into kind of promoting all the titles. And also, I love that kind of community element of bringing people together and having a really nice space to kind of share their love of reading through book groups and discussions. So yeah, it's such a nice thing to be able to do as part of our campaigns.
Lovely, thank you. Vicky?
Yeah, it's definitely echoing some of the community aspects for me. I think I work in marketing and we're in this like literally very large glass building in London, and sometimes it feels like you're sending stuff out and you know, like into the abyss. But it feels like with libraries you're reaching those smaller communities. I think especially outside London, that regional piece is really important to me as someone who feels passionately about things not being so London centric. Obviously we love London libraries as well. But reaching out regionally and having those communities and feeling that enthusiasm, like when do we ever actually get to see that word of mouth that you've really tried to encourage, and that enthusiasm, I think, outside of bookshops and all like that. So yeah, big love.
Thank you. I realised, Liz, Heather and Rachel, that your heart is hard at the end to try and come up with something new. So maybe you can think about either your favourite activity you've seen in a library, or potentially who your local library was. Whatever you want to say about libraries is up to you. Liz, I'll come to you first.
Okay. Yeah, I love what everyone else has said. It actually makes me feel very warm hearing everyone share their like amazing experiences with libraries. I would have got a library card when I was about 7 in Woking. And so I guess similarly to everyone else, libraries were such a huge formational part of why I started reading. And I think it's really great to be able to work with libraries because they're such an important part of the book ecosphere. And if they're not creating new readers, then like our jobs don't exist either. And authors don't exist, you know, so it's really great to be able to work with you guys.
Lovely, thank you. And Heather and Rachel.
I think just echoing a lot of what everyone has said, the ability for us to sort of reach all parts of the UK, and the amount of feedback you guys give to us on our books really makes a difference. We love working with you, and we want to try and get more authors out to see you guys. So that's it from us, really.
That's perfect, thank you. I'm going to wrap up the Q&A there, but there's been some great questions, so I will make sure I share them. Just one last one. For the publishers who shared videos in their presentations, can you just let us know if the librarian's okay to share those? We've got a nod from Penguin Press. Jo?
Yeah, they're absolutely fine, and they should all be on YouTube and easy to find. If they're not, shout at me in the delegate form and I will sort that out.
Lovely, thank you both so much. Thank you so much, publishers, for giving up your time. And librarians, please hang on because we're going to hear from Kelly. But thank you all for it. It was fantastic to hear, and even more books that I need to try and read in 2025. So please feel free to hop off and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and now for the next part of the session, I am really, really pleased to hand over to my colleague Kelly. So Kelly, I won't waste any more time talking about what you're going to talk about. I'm just let you do it.
Amazing. I have to say, thank you to everyone, for those presentations. I think it has to be said that my to be read pile on my Christmas list has grown exponentially within the last 45 minutes. So
good problem to have, isn't it?
That's fantastic. So I shall get started. Okay, so I am Kelly Baker and I am the Programme Officer for Adult Reading at the Reading Agency.
Oh, Kelly, you've just gone on mute.
Oh,
there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you now.
Fantastic. Start of every meeting. Can you hear me? Can you see me? I'm really pleased to be here today to talk to you about Reading Ahead, what the programme is, how it's delivered, and how the aims and outcomes for the programme are underpinned not only from our annual feedback from our participants and our coordinators, but also guided by robust research and evaluation processes in response to current challenges and opportunities that are facing adult reading. At any moment. So for 22 years now, the Reading Agency has continued to build an understanding of the reading habits of people of all ages across the UK through our extensive research and evaluation projects. And from this, we've noticed a significant lack of research into adult reading habits. Using our expertise in this area in July this year, we published the initial findings from our annual nationwide survey, the only one of its kind in the UK. This research provides a detailed look into the state of adult reading habits, covering reading frequency, confidence, benefits, barriers, and attitudes. Key findings from the report discovered that fewer people are reading for pleasure. The data reveals a large decrease in the number of people reading regularly, with only half of the nation now adopting a regular reading habit, which is down from 58% 7 years ago. Among young people aged 16 to 24, a quarter have never been regular readers, and 44% of this group are now considered lapsed readers. It goes without saying that reading for pleasure can also include magazines, graphic novels, audiobooks, blogs, and more, and not just books. It was also found that there are increasing barriers to reading. Low reading confidence is a common barrier, with 11% finding reading always or usually difficult, rising to 22% among young adults. Nearly 3 in 10 people struggle to finish what they read, and 28% struggle to focus on reading for more than a few minutes. In addition, our report highlighted generational differences within adult reading. 55% of young adults aged between 16 and 34 face the most barriers to reading, including lower enjoyment. 42% have difficulty focusing, and 39% find it a challenge to find relatable content. So the priority question here is, what is stopping people from reading? Non-readers say lack of enjoyment and difficulty finding interesting content are major barriers. Lapsed readers attribute their decline to life events, health issues, and time spent on social media, in addition to literacy levels and the challenges of ESOL. Please do take a look at the report from our wonderful research and evaluation team. They're a fantastic bunch. Despite these challenges, the desire to read remains strong across all groups. The Reading Agency are committed to addressing these barriers and promoting the benefits of reading through our programmes and resources, including Reading Ahead, which has now been our key adult reading programme at the Reading Agency since 2008. And some of you may remember this as the 6-book challenge. Reading Ahead is a supported reading challenge designed to build reading confidence, improve essential skills, and encourage everyone to start or reignite their reading journey. By providing guidance and resources, Reading Ahead helps individuals overcome the initial barriers that can often discourage reading and allows them to gradually grow their confidence in engaging with different types of reading material, whilst reflecting and discussing their reads with their peers and coordinators along the way. As participants explore new genres, topics, and ideas, they are not only entertained, but enhance their language and literacy skills, skills that we know are crucial in both everyday life and the workplace. So who is the programme for, and where is it delivered? Reading Ahead is facilitated by coordinators and is aimed at young people and adults who are less confident readers and those who want to improve their literacy and language skills or get back into reading. It is run in most UK prisons, public libraries, colleges, adult community learning centres and workplaces. Year on year, feedback continues to be positive, showing a clear increase in reading confidence and skills for those taking part, an increase in time spent reading for pleasure compared to prior participation. So how do participants get involved? As I mentioned before, Reading Ahead has evolved from the original 2008 six-book challenge aims, with revamped and updated resources launched last year. This followed extensive consultation and co-production with our coordinators and participants in prison and college settings, with our main focus on creating engaging and accessible resources for use across all settings. Participants choose 6 reads. These can be books, magazines, recipes, letters, or anything. After completing each read, they share their thoughts on what they've read by filling out a review in their personal Reading Ahead reading diary, as you can see on the screen. And they work towards receiving a certificate of achievement. Readers can use our reading database to search for material at the right reading level, and coordinators can access a hub of supporting guidance, learning resources, and promotion materials on our resources database. The main idea with Reading Ahead is that we want readers to engage with any material type, and that we appreciate that every reading journey is unique. To support learners, we rely on our dedicated network of facilitators to deliver the programme tailored, bespoke to their setting. Reading Ahead is delivered by coordinators, library and education staff within public college and prison libraries via printback materials. These are available to order from the Reading Agency online shop in the quantities shown. We also offer purchasable incentives and rewards, including pens, sticky notes, totes, and water bottles for you to motivate and celebrate your Reading Ahead participants with their engagement. Our prison completers receive a dictionary from our wonderful partner Giverbook, and these continue to be incredibly popular within the prison community. For further information on Reading Ahead or adult work or our research, please do get in touch with me at the email address shown. We're always open to opportunities to partner with publishers and libraries on author visits and book gifting for our participants across all settings. Thank you so much for your time today, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Kelly. There's some really nice comments in the chat box. I think your camera's off though, so if you just turn that back on so people can see your lovely face. I'm just going to do a very, very whistle stop showing of what libraries can do through Reading Partners. Hopefully you can just see that, just as some of the great opportunities we have on our website. But while I'm doing that, please do put any questions you have for Kelly or myself in the chat box. So here's just a quick snapshot. So I work on the Reading Partners programme, and last year we had this fantastic amount of reach just through our library, school, college, prison, all of the networks that we have by publishers offering free display packs and books for reading groups, where we just ask for, in return for that, from reviews. So please do, anybody can sign up for those. But here's just a couple of pages I wanted to flag. So reading groups for everyone. If you have got any reading groups that you are running, or if you are in a reading group, then please do sign up for the website, just because you get lots and lots of brilliant resources from our publisher and prize partners, but also lots of the publishers, you might have heard them saying reading groups notice board. They put up books that they have available for book clubs. It goes up constantly, so please do keep checking them out. And all they ask for in return are reviews, usually to go on Amazon and Waterstones, but you can also put them on our Reading Groups for Everyone site, or you can just fill in a paper form and send it back. So there are really no restrictions to what you can do, and you can apply for as many of them as you want. And then the next page, here, if you follow this QR code, then you will go onto our library's offers page. There's not many on there at the moment, just because I think all of the publishers have been busy with the roadshow. But if you click on there, then you can go and see all of the free display packs. We update this very regularly, so make sure you check it every week. And here are just some of the offers we have available for adult readers. And then the last page I just wanted to flag, another QR code, is our available authors page. We have got this year, the publishers are able to share any authors they have available. Here are just some examples for you. They have put in there what they are looking for, so please make sure you read carefully where the author is based. For example, if they said that it's only available in one area, please don't put somewhere where they might not be able to travel to. But that page is up, and there are lots and lots of authors available on there at the moment. That was just what I wanted to say why we're all here, and now we should have lots of lovely questions. So I'm going to stop sharing and come over to you, Kelly. So the first question, is the Reading Ahead print pack free?
No, they are purchasable. So if you go onto our shop page, we've got various options this year. So in order to cater for all price points, we've actually kind of made some of the pack sizes smaller, particularly good for smaller organisations and settings that maybe want to try reading ahead without committing to kind of like larger bundles. And we've also increased the amount of top-up resources. So you can purchase the Reading Ahead diary, which is the key asset for Reading Ahead. You can buy that separately. You can buy the bookmarks and certificates separately as well. So you've got more of a chance to kind of tailor the kind of program, the resources to your setting and within those sizes. So lots of pay points kind of accounted for this year in response to feedback last year. But yeah, so you can buy those materials from our shop.
That's great, thank you. Sarah Moss has said, hi Kelly, Reading Ahead is popular in HMP YOI. Chelmsford, I'm in Chelmsford, Sarah, so lovely to hear you. Would TRA be able to work with us to do some kind of Reading Ahead event in prison, preferably involving an author to celebrate those doing the scheme or encourage to sign up to the scheme? The prison has a new reading strategy, so we fit in with this.
Fantastic. Yeah, so we're working on that at the moment. So looking at our ambassadors and our ambassador program, working with our Marcoms team to kind of support the author visits and sort of make use of that. And it makes a massive difference. We know that particularly for our prison community participants, having someone who is a personality or a voice, not necessarily always an author, but someone who's happy to champion reading for reading's sake, so for mental health, for well-being, is usually a really, fantastic focal point, to start launching Reading Ahead and sort of, to bring the outside in, as it were. So yeah, so that's something that we are developing at the moment, looking at the names of our ambassadors, and we've just this week started to get our ambassador Bobby Seagull, who is starting to look at our prison work, which he's very excited about, and he's absolutely lovely. And yeah, so we'll keep you posted, but we're developing the Reading Ahead web pages, making sure the more interactive, adding more content over the next sort of few months or so. So the idea is that, we want to start making Reading Ahead come off the page, and obviously working, with our coordinators and our organisations to find feedback on ways and how to do this as well. So yeah, I take your feedback, and it's something we're very much committed to.
That's lovely, thank you. There's again, Stu's put some really nice comments in the chat. And Alison from Norfolk Libraries has said, really enjoyed running Reading Ahead alongside the summer reading challenge this year. We managed to engage so many parents, which was fantastic. Families reading together, yay. Not a question, but amazing comment to, I think, end on, Kelly.
Yeah, thank you, Alison.
Oh, thank you, Alison.
Yeah, we love the positive comments, and actually, it links in very well with we're about to launch Reading Families this week, which is our parent and child reading challenge in prison. So we're looking to launch the community library model next year. So we know that there are kind of, there's potential there for, for adult reading programs and children's reading programs together, and how we kind of promote family reading. The many benefits of both. So it was very timely, Alison, when you came in and asked to try and pilot that over the summer. So we've already been thinking ahead, and we're really looking forward to sharing that with you and getting your feedback on that as well.
Amazing, thank you so much. Graham, I can see you've left a comment about the authors page. That's really useful. I will feed that back to the digital team, and hopefully we can do something. So thank you so much to everyone who has attended this session, and of course to our wonderful publishers we had earlier, and Kelly. Good morning, everyone.